if you're doing your job right in copywriting, you're connecting.
Good morning, freelance copywriting crew. It is time again for our weekly show Copy This, Not That, where I bring in an expert from a related industry and we learn how freelance copy and freelance copywriters can help impact that industry and what you can do to connect with more people in that industry, get better results in your business, and get better results for your clients. Our guest today is Megan Flanagan. Megan is a sales strategist and marketing expert. I've known Megan for years, and honestly, she's one of my favorite people because not only does she totally know her stuff, but she is just so much fun. So I'm super excited to have her here. Good morning, Megan.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no
It's
problem.
everybody's lucky day. It's Friday the 13th.
Very true. Today, my dad was born on Friday the 13th. So today is my dad's birthday. So double the celebration. Do we celebrate Friday the 13th?
Yes.
Maybe not, but it's lucky because here we are today. So tell us a little bit about what you do in your business and what your favorite part about being a digital marketer is.
Ooh. Well, first, a little bit about me. Literally today, 8 years ago, I was let go from my corporate position at QVC. And just a snippet, it was everything. My whole identity was wrapped up in it. So it was devastating, and there had been multiple layoffs. So I had been a buyer and bought product that went on air and helped the guests sell this product. So at the time, that was, a skill set, being a retail buyer, helping people sell things. And that was very under the surface. I wasn't fully aware of my gifts and talents at those times. But after that happened, I really pivoted, and you can hear the story, or I might have told it earlier in the group, but I started 609 Media, and I started doing social media for people because I knew that my skill set with connecting with audiences, helping businesses sell their services, products, and reach the right people. I knew I had that skill set, and I knew that as I was applying it, things were working. And so I was on one side learning and on the other side implementing at the same time, and kind of supercharging my learnings. And subsequently joined a group where I met you, and then joined a mastermind, which you were in. And you were the reason I joined, and I share that story a lot. You were kind of my inspiration. And so after I joined that, I really up-leveled my skill set. And that mentor really made me look at some skills and called me out and said, you are like an expert on selling. Like, you've got this gift. And I've always kind of known that, but it's odd to have somebody on the outside share that with you. So the learning from that is always ask people, what do you see that I'm strong at? What do you observe when I'm working? Have people, especially in copywriting, what are you reading that, maybe you're seeing that I've got a gift for this type of copywriting or a gift for that type of copywriting. And other people tend to see it before you do. So
true.
Yeah. So, our mutual friend and mentor and coach, Rachel Peterson, saw that in me. I then was sitting with somebody who I used to meet with once a month. They were local, and I had to do a bunch of sales calls one day. And she sat there and she said, "What is that? Like, what are you doing?" And I said, "I'm selling." And she goes, "You've got a whole system. You're like boom, boom, boom." And I was like, huh. And this was a systems person. So again, I asked a bunch of questions, asked her to give me feedback, and I came up with a framework of selling that I guess it's one of the things I'm known for. But so I do social media for companies, clients all over the country, really some big people that do hundreds of millions of dollars, some coaching agencies that do phenomenally well. They're ICF certified coaches. They're amazing coaches in their fields. But what we do best in marketing is connect with people. And why I share that is because what I do best when I sell is I connect with people. And you probably do the same thing. Like if you're doing your job right in copywriting, you're connecting. So
Yeah.
like there's this underlying, I think whatever you do, connection is key. And you can master the art of how to connect with somebody. You, you take the word selling out of it and it's connecting.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I always say, if you make a connection with somebody, it can last a second, a minute, a year or a lifetime, and they become like a thread that's the fabric of your life. So,
Exactly. And connection is memorable too. I mean, unless there's some kind of a connection, someone may go away from a discovery call and it just goes to the back of their mind. But if you happen to strike on a common interest that you have, or laugh at a joke, or they're willing to show you that their dog is trying to climb into their lap while you're on the call, that becomes memorable. That becomes a connection. You become a person face to face with another person. And so I love the idea of connections. Actually, super, super important in sales copy, which is my specialty. After capturing attention, connection is the second most important objective that you can do. So I love that. And actually, Megan broke down her entire sales system for us inside the Client Attraction Crash Course, which is the cornerstone content of this group. So if you have not gone through the crash course, you can do it anytime. It's free. Check the pinned post and get signed up and go through that, because her session on her sales system is in that course and it's absolutely invaluable.
and it's not really like in depth. That is what that framework came up when my friend had been sitting next to me listening through the sales calls, and we just made 6 bullet points, and literally everybody I go through it with, they're like, oh, like a sigh of relief. It's not the 6-hour course. It's something that it's like we joke, it's a recipe. Like, everybody's got the Toll House chocolate chips and the recipes on the back. That's your framework. But as you master the recipe and make it your own, you add a little bit more brown sugar, a little less salt, a little, maybe some walnuts with the chocolate chips. You make the recipe your own. And that's what the framework is for. Like, master it, get the system down. And then once you're feeling good and you are selling and closing clients, make it your own. But yeah, the key always is connection.
Yeah, I think it's so easy, especially when you're new and you're just starting to like, okay, I have to start landing some clients. I have to start finding them myself. I'm out of people that I know in my person to person life. And now I've got to actually put myself out there and talk to somebody that I've never met before about my services. Having an outline or a system that you can follow is super, super important. Super important. Tell me a little bit about what so you said that I was your motivation for joining a mastermind. What was it that I sold you on? In what way did I sell you on it? I just
You
want you to
told
see the creative ways that you can make
Mhm.
connections with people when you're on those discovery calls.
You told the story,
Mm,
and you told the story of you, being in college and studying and going down this path,
mhm.
and then all of a sudden that path was not the right path for you, and how it changed your life. And you lived in this remote area in Iowa, and like for me, it showed me what was possible. I too had gone to, college like I was expected to, did the things, got the corporate job, and everything was taken, like, not everything. The job was taken away from me. My identity was taken away from me. And when I heard you talk about the possibility, I was in a certain stage of my business and you had moved to that next level and you were where I wanted to be. So, I mean, I feel like this is classic how to teach
Right.
people how to do sales copy, but
Yeah.
you took me through the story of where I was and
Mhm.
showed me that I could be where you were. And that's why I was like, if Christa, like I related to you on the education side, and then I thought, if she can do this in the middle of nowhere, like I am 12 minutes from Philly, an hour and 45 minutes from New York City, 2 hours from DC. I've got people around me. And of course, I laugh now when people say I don't live in a populated area. And I go, that's a good thing.
Right.
You'll never have a meeting in person. But
Right. Zoom is
that,
a beautiful
yeah,
thing.
it was that story and it made it so relatable. And you were so relatable. So it's kind of like I was listening to you talk and I was like, you're not this, we have a fun word we say, smarmy marketer. Like you're not guessing people. You're authentic. And that's another key too. Like you can connect with people, but boy, can you turn them off when you are, just blowing smoke up where and just kind of not being yourself and being something that you think people want you to be or people have told you you're supposed to be all your life.
Yeah. If you can't authentically be yourself inside your own business, you can't be authentically yourself anywhere. You know what I mean? Like this is your business and you have the ability to show up as you, and the right people will want to work with you and the wrong people won't. And that's a benefit to you.
Yeah. And a lot of times, clients will get on the phone with you or get on Zoom with you and they'll say no because there may be something that they're just, I can't put my finger on it, but it's like maybe you were being inauthentic or maybe you were saying things that you were always trained to say and not do the connection factor, or share the right stories or connect with them in the right way. And they just sense something inauthentic that just, sometimes you immediately lose them and they say no. It's not because they didn't like you. There was just something that was a little off. So,
And sometimes it's you don't know it at the time. You may never know it, but it's saving you from a bad experience. Sometimes it's a blessing in disguise to not
yes.
land that client.
Yeah. Yeah,
Totally.
that's the other thing. I think authenticity and when you're on a discovery call, a touch of vulnerability can lead you to the right, like attract you to the right people, and it will absolutely repel the wrong people, which you just said is a blessing in disguise.
Yeah.
And sometimes we don't always know it right away, but if karma is on our side, she shows us later that it was a great pass.
Yeah. I actually had a discovery call last week with a couple of really young entrepreneurs in the investment space. And I knew right away, like, that it wasn't going to be a good fit, but it was a referral from another person. And so I, wanted to see it through. And I got off the phone, and my husband listens in on my sales calls as well because he has certain roles inside my business. And I get off the phone and he was over here so he couldn't see them. And he looks at my face and he's like, that was interesting. And I was like, yeah, they don't, this isn't going to be a good fit for them. They want a bro marketer. They want a bro marketer. They want something that I'm not, that I'm never going to be able to give them. I don't want to give them, and so I wasn't surprised at all when yesterday they touched back and said, hey, we've gone in another direction. And I was totally okay with that. I've gotten to the place in my business where I pick and choose who I want to work with. And if a prospect picks somebody else, it's no skin off my teeth. Like, there are so many people out there who need copy that I just, next,
Yeah.
So
Isn't it, I have to say real quickly, because I just had this discussion with somebody else, but isn't it refreshing? And I think it shows people where they can get to be, that we're in a space where we're in our business where we can pick and choose who we want to work with. And if something just doesn't feel right, or we're like, I just don't need to give that person in that business my skill, no, it's just not right. And you're not worried about, a bill's not going to get paid, or contractor's not going to get paid. It's so refreshing to put in the work for 5 to 6 years and be in the space that we're in now.
Yeah, definitely. And it is, you do build that as you go. You build your client roster, you build your network, and it doesn't stay that same like beginning startup feeling or situation as it does. If you keep going, you will come out the other side and be like, okay, here it is. Here we
Everybody
are.
talks about like revenue goals and, oh, I'm going to hit a 10K month and a 20K month and a 30K month. But it's like, what is the freedom that you get to pick somebody?
Yeah, that's a huge motivator for me, is freedom,
Yeah.
flexibility, freedom, doing what I love. It's not necessarily a number for me, although the number helps facilitate that. But yeah, freedom is a huge motivator for me. And I think for a lot of creatives like we just really need that. Like our souls need the freedom to be able to be creative in the way that we were gifted naturally.
Yeah.
So as you get ready to sit down for a sales call, is there anything you do beforehand, any prep work that you put into it so that you know you're ready and able to make those connections when you first, get on those calls?
Yes, I do. I still to this day, either the day before the call or the morning of, an hour before, I will super stalk the person, super stalk their business.
Totally. We are
like
cyber stalkers.
spider web, like super spidey, like look at the web of
Mhm.
connections they have, literally like sit there and write things out on a notepad. I usually like to do it the day before if possible, because then like my mind marinates overnight.
Mhm.
But what I'm looking for is like many things. Like, yes, I'm going to ask them what their needs are in their business and what the problems are they're experiencing, or their pain points. But I want to see, do I see them already? I don't want to ever make an assumption. I learned that a long time ago. But do I see them already? And then I'm looking for a connection. I'm looking for something that I have in common with them, so that when the right moment comes along in our conversation, I
Mhm.
make that connection and it's a memorable one. So, and I talk about that framework in your
Mhm.
course. But that I allocate an hour for it. I do not shortcut that process by any means.
Yeah.
It is the most important thing. And then literally, 15 to 20 minutes before the call, I go get, like I did today, any call, like coffee, water,
Yeah. Yeah.
make sure that I'm just like, go let the dog out, stand outside for 10 minutes. Just kind of like, zhuzh, like refresh, just stand up, get away from your desk. If you've run errands or whatever, just stop what you're doing for 15 minutes and level set your, just get in a calm space where you're in control of the call.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
part of that, like one of the first things I say is frame the call. And it's really putting you in that power position, because you want that person to see you as the authority in your space, and they're hiring you for your authority and your knowledge. So you want to
Right.
convey that in a unassuming way, but they see it and they feel it. Even on Zoom, they feel it. They're like, oh, this person knows what they're talking about. Like, ooh, okay. Like, we're not messing around here. Yeah.
Well, and you have to remember, like, they're coming to you because they need you. They're not, you don't have to beg them for a project. They're coming because they're interested in what you have to offer. And that shouldn't give you confidence right off the bat. Yes, it can be nerve-wracking. Yes, it can be like, oh, I really want this client. But they have a need, or they wouldn't be sitting in front of you right now. And it's a need that
Yeah.
you can meet.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I have a cautionary tale about a time that I didn't do my homework. So I was going through a super, super busy stretch, and I had a last minute discovery call pop into my scheduler, and I didn't do the research beforehand. And when I got on the call, it was a marketing manager that I was talking to. They asked me, "Do you know so and so? Do you know who this is?" And I was like, "No." I'm sure I didn't say it like that. No, I guess I'm not familiar. Oh, I'm so embarrassed just thinking about it. They're like, "Oh, well, he has his own TV show and he has." I wanted to die. By some miracle, they still hired me. And I think for them, it was like, okay, cool. You're not just on this call because you're fangirling and you want to work with this person. It was like a benefit for that. But I think 9 times out of 10, that would be an immediate turnoff. Like, seriously, you didn't even take the time to do a Google, so right then on the call, I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And you know who this is, Megan. You're like, are you kidding me? Like, girl. So yeah, don't do that. Don't
But
do that.
I would say like your authenticity worked in your favor, right?
Straight up like,
Because it was a last minute call, that popped up. So I wouldn't expect somebody to have the preparedness. And from working with celebrities at QVC, 9 times out of 10, it's very refreshing to have somebody not know who they are.
I'm
Like,
sure.
There's a little bit of element that they actually are just like, it's like a sigh of relief. Like they're not going to put me in this box that I'm in and, think outside the box for whatever you're doing for me. So I think there's a little bit of that. But
and that idea, like, this person is here because they really love what they do and they want to do that, not just because they want my name in their portfolio or whatever. That gets, I can't imagine that. I am not at that level, but I can only imagine that would be kind of frustrating and discouraging. All right, awesome. So tell me, what are some mistakes that you should avoid? So what should you not do on a sales call that can cause things to go haywire?
Talk too much. So one of the second step after framing the call is ask the person you're speaking to about themselves. And one of the I made this mistake prior to figuring this whole framework out. I would jump on a sales call and be like, hey, here's what I can do for you. And constantly getting told no, and constantly people ghosting you. And they're just like, afterwards I was like, wow, how did that go so wrong? But I realized, like, when I switched it and then when mapped it out, it's like walking into a party. If somebody walks in to your house and they're like, hey, Christa, hey, Jeremy, I'm Megan, I'm from New Jersey, blah, 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 you'd be like, who invited this person?
Or it's like when they knock on your door with the aerial photo and they just like, here's your farm, want to buy it?
Yeah.
Dude, first of all, that's creepy.
Right. So, asking, like, treating somebody like a guest in your home. And again, if you're inviting somebody into your home, you're probably going to make a connection with them. So, but asking them, that's the one thing, is people talking too much at the top of the call. Like, making sure you're asking them questions and have questions prepared. And there's a standard list of questions you can ask people. So because you can get somebody who they may be an introvert, they may not know, their best friend told them to call Christa to jump on a call with her and talk to her, but you need sales, but you're like, they're in a whirlwind. Like, that's how bad they need you, is they don't even know almost what they need, but you can ask them some questions to start drawing them out and have a conversation about their business. So,
So do you mainly ask them about their business or about themselves as a person, or?
It depends. I mean, it depends. Like, if they're a coach, I'm probably going to ask them about their coaching practice, but then dive in a little bit more about, like, what are their strengths? Who do they like to coach? Do they know who their ideal client avatar is, which usually they do. So, there's all these things where it kind of depends who they are, what they want to market. If they're marketing their business, some people want brand awareness just for their personal pages.
Sure.
So,
Awesome. I think I love the question, who is your person? Who are you serving? That's one of my top 9. I have 9. I'm sure they're very similar to yours, but that's one that I need to know how well they understand that, because I need to know then what they need from me. That helps me know, okay, do we have work to do, or are we ready to go straight for the project that they say they need? I can get them best results, but only if I have a certain amount of information. And if they don't have that, then I need to go get it. And I need to be able to provide that for them. And that helps me be able to create a really good proposal that actually meets their needs and not just what they think they want.
Yeah. Yeah, it's absolutely the same for us. And, a great example is I've got a client and her key demographic is like a 40 to 65-year-old woman, and then some other attributes. But, they've been in business for 21 years. And one of the things we brought up was like, okay, we're going to use social media to, promote your business. But what about new customers? Where will we get them from?
Mm-hmm.
So like knowing the platforms that have a younger demographic, like a Pinterest, and like Instagram, and now I wouldn't even say TikTok for this person, but if you know the key demographic, you know where to get new clients.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, and there's a lot more, like, so for you offer more than just social media.
yeah,
As freelance copywriters, if we focus in sales, we offer a lot more than just words. We offer understanding of how traffic works and how audiences think. And so I think when we can portray that by the questions that we ask and the way that we listen, it can really make a big difference in our close rate.
yeah. I think I have, I know I have, and I'll happy to share it because I'll have to break it out of the bundle it's in, but my client avatar question sheet for social media managers just starting out, I think it has 53 questions on it.
I love that. Yes.
If you don't know sometimes you're just absolutely new to the space and you're like, what did you Avatar? I saw the movie, but what are you talking about?
Right. Are we blue? We're blue. No, yeah.
So when you break it down and then you start asking like the demographic and psychographic questions, all of it like in a very simple way, you're like, oh, I get it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
That is something I think even up to like $1 million in revenue, I think clients are still surprised. Like, oh, I've never had anybody ask me that before. Once they get past that $1 million mark, they've done the work, they know their avatar. But up to that point, a lot of times they'll be like, wow, I don't know what they've been trying in order to solve their problems up till now. I don't know how that's affecting their lives. I am really glad you asked me that because that really made me think. I get that a lot. Like, that really made me think. I'm like, good job, mission accomplished, right? So I'm doing my job then. Well, thank you so much for hopping on with us today. This has been absolutely invaluable. And we would love to be able to connect with you outside of this. So when this video is over, drop a comment in the chat. Let us know where we can find you. And let us know if there's any free resources that you have that we would love to go trade our email addresses in return for. So I mentioned that there's a sales training in the client attraction crash course, but as I think about it, it's not actually in that one. It's in a different program. So that sales training is in my bootcamp program. But the client attraction crash course still, if you haven't done it, go do it. But yes, we would love to hear more from you. And thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. Any final words on discovery calls and crushing it?
If you are brand new to doing discovery calls, as many entrepreneurs are, go through like the framework again, and I'll drop it in the comment section. But if you're afraid, grab somebody to do role playing with. Get on the phone, get on Zoom, and practice and say the words out loud. Practice it 5, 10, 12 times, because that'll kind of break you through the nervousness. And people also forget that step, that, role playing with people gets the nerves.
Exactly. And we forget that practice is important. If we were musicians, we would regularly practice. If we were athletes, we would regularly practice. And yet inside our own businesses, we don't do that. We don't think of it in the same way. But practice creates neural pathways that removes fear. Repetitive action helps remove fear. So I love that. And this Facebook group is a great place to find somebody else who needs to do the same thing, and you can go back and forth with each other in that way. Well, everybody, drop a yay in the chat. Let me know what you thought of Megan's session today. Thank you so much, Megan. Let her know how much you appreciated it, and we will see you all very soon.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.